Why does the black man serve the white man? Why does everything the black man do benefit the white man? Why does the black man say freedom is doing what I want to do? And why is it that everything he wants to do enriches the European?
Welcome to the desert of the real.
Peace, family. This is your brother, Mr. Holipsism. I was watching this videos online, and I came across this movie that I had seen years ago called John Q, starring Denzel Washington. And this movie had probably one of the scenes in it that made me the angriest that I've ever been at the movie screen, at the television screen, or whatever in a movie. It infuriated me when I saw it. The context of John Q is about a guy. He's a working class dude, blue collar, doesn't have a lot of money. The insurance that he has at his job doesn't really cover his sick son because his son is sick, needs a heart transplant or something like that, kidney or heart, I'm not sure. I think it's a heart, heart transplant, or else he's gonna die. So the movie shows him trying to get the heart transplant and doing all of this stuff to try to, save his son, as any father would do. They get to a portion in the movie where the son is in the hospital, and because they don't have the adequate insurance and they don't have the right money, he's doing everything. I mean, Denzel's out there busting his ass, doing everything he can possibly think of to make money so he can pay for the surgery and get his son the transplant that he needs. So in the midst of him doing that, his wife calls up and tells him that they're releasing Mike, which is his son, Mike. He's like, whoa, what do you mean they're releasing him? He's like, they're letting him go, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, well, wait a minute. They can't do that. I got the money. I'm paying them, da, da, da. She said, listen, I know you say you want to do something. You always want to take care of things, but it's never enough. They're releasing him. You got to do something. Just do something. And hangs up the phone on him. That scene pissed me the fuck off. Which gets to the topic that we're going to talk about today, which is my talking point smash version 1.4. I'm addressing the talking point of, quote, stop all the talk and do something, end quote. Let me just say this. This statement probably annoys me more than anything that I hear. And there's a lot of shit that ignores me. Annoys me, I should say, that I hear in the so-called conscious community. But one of the things that bother me more than anything is when I hear some nigga say, we need to stop all the talking and we need to do something. Because it reminds me of that wife in John Q. You know what I'm saying? Like, this dude is busting his ass to try to save. And the thing about it is, he loves the son just as much as your bitch ass do. So who are you to call him up, yelling and screaming at him when he's out there busting his ass trying to do what he can to save his son? Let me not go there. I'm going to get pissed off if I think about it again. But to get back to that, I'm trying to transition over from how I feel about that scene in that movie to get back to what I want to talk about now. It's this concept of we need to stop talking and we need to do something. First, let me just say this. We haven't even begun any real talk, number one. So what is all this stopping that we have to do with the talking that we're doing when we ain't even fucking talking? Before you can fix the problem, you have to admit that you have one. Have we gotten to that stage yet? Can we even properly identify what the freaking problem is? We got all of these opinions and all of these thoughts, but I notice everybody's doing them. It's like a whole bunch of people inside of a house or a building, and each person is in their apartment or their room, and they breaking shit down on their own, but none of the people who the whole thing affects are getting together to try to gain some consensus, to talk about things, to see if you can get on the same page and find a common denominator. None of that shit's going on, but niggas want to do something. After you let's just say we follow the process of how things go. Let's say you sit down and you decide that you all come to a consensus on the fact that you do have a problem and you can identify what the problem is. Once you admit you have that problem, then the next step is, well, how did you get it? And this is an important step. You have to know how you got to where you are. And why do you need to know that? Because once you know it, then you can figure out how to fix it, and then you can prevent it from ever happening again. If you don't have a proper analysis or a proper way to deal with the problem that exists currently and to come up with preventive measures to make sure that that problem doesn't happen again, it's going to be a perpetual problem. Luckily, or I guess not lucky for us, we haven't even reached the point where we fixed it so it can come back again. So we're nowhere near the getting to the problem fix. We're at the trying to identify what the problem is stage, which is number one. But I'm just going to act as if we're going through this the way that normal people do. This all talk that people seem to be so offended by, this talk is called consensus. Before you can move masses of people, or I should say, get masses of people to be behind your movement, there has to be consensus. It has to be something clear, concise, understandable from the baby out of the womb to the elder going into the ancestral realm. Clearly understood, not a whole bunch of nuance to it. And I use this as an example all the time. You got America. America consensus is we are number one. We're Americans. That's it. The little kid understands it, the older people understand it, and everybody in between understands it. It has to be simple, has to be concise, has to be something that's clearly understood, because those are the things that get people to move behind. Now, another thing that annoys me about the stop all the talk and do something people is the presupposition is that the person saying do something is actually going through the initial stages and is in a position to actually do something. That's false. Most of them have not gone through the initial stages. And when I talk about the initial stages toward building a consensus, we get back to where I was in the beginning. Identifying the problem, finding out how you got the problem, learning how to fix the problem, and then preventing the problem from ever happening again. The bottom line is that most of these people who say do something are too ill-prepared and too lazy to do low-profile, non-glamorous work. Because the work that it takes to get something started is not glamorous. Everybody's used to the video, the music video version of success, where you see niggas in a club popping champagne and slow walking girls and everybody's wearing shades. And it's all good. You get to see the end results of all the work, but you never get to see the actual work that took place. And this is how these dudes, the most I can say about it, or the best way for me to put it is, they're all emotions and rhetoric. All emotions and rhetoric, and no strategies and tactics. I call them I call it the Mike Tyson one-hitter quitter mentality. And you've seen this. If guys know guys out in the street, and you've seen fights, you have guys who feel that when they throw their knockout punch, you're supposed to go down. You throw your one-hitter quitter, you hit that dude right square in the chin, he's supposed to go down, fall unconscious, and then you can rock with your boys and yeah, motherfucker, yeah. But then there's those occasions that happen when you throw your one-hitter quitter and the guy don't get knocked out. As a matter of fact, you might have pissed the dude off. And then what's your ass gonna do? Uh-oh. Nobody's got an answer for that, because nobody's got no strategies and tactics. They expect to come at you with raw emotions and do what they got to do. And then after they do all of that and you're still standing, game over. That's when niggas' stomachs start hurting. They got a cramp in their leg. All that shit happened. Why? Because you got a one-hitter quitter mentality. You don't have no strategies, don't have no tactics, but you the main nigga that want to do something. Let me just enlighten you guys on a little something. Nationhood requires dynamic, not static thinking. It's not something that's just stuck in time and not moving and evolving and adapting. You have to be able to move and evolve, adapt to the circumstances and the situation that you are in. That's how culture is. Culture is adaptive. Culture is dynamic. It is not static. It's not stuck in time. It's not in the 60s. It's not during the Nile Valley civilization. It's right here, right now. Constantly evolving and constantly changing, constantly adapting to benefit African people. Now, one of the things that somebody who's talking about do something, I noticed that they don't have an overall agenda. If you want to do something, what's the overall agenda? Ask them. Next time somebody comes to you and say, we got to do something, just say, well, what's the overall agenda? What are we actually going for? Well, well, we got to do something. We got to get out there and get in those streets. Really? Okay. So we get out there and get in those streets. As a matter of fact, before we get out there and get on the streets, could you explain to me why we're not getting out there and getting on those streets right now? And that's when you'll hear the crickets. Because they don't know. And they're frustrated because they don't know. But the reality is, why are you having such a difficult time getting people to get out there in those streets and do what you need for them to do? I think that that's a very key and important thing to analyze instead of just defaulting to, well, these motherfuckers don't give a shit about nothing. Really? So where do we go from here? Since we've come to the conclusion that nobody cares about anything, why are you still trying to get people out in the street? It's an endless cycle. It's a loop, an illogical loop that keeps going on and on and on and on in our community, and it doesn't seem to be stopping until somebody breaks the loop, comes outside of that box and starts thinking about what is actually going on, what is making this stuff happen. We need to start thinking like scientists. We need to start analyzing. And keep in mind, I'm saying all of this shit before you actually do something. As a matter of fact, well, let me not get ahead of myself. When you have no agenda, that means that you want to be a jack of all trades and a master of none. And the problem with that is, if you are calling yourself a leader, leaders naturally know how to manipulate energy. They know when there's momentum, they know how to inspire, and they know how to motivate people before the actual action. Do I have to repeat that again? I'm not. Go back, rewind. Wasting time and energy kills movement. Especially when you're wasting other people's time and energy. It definitely kills movement because you can start off with a whole bunch of people, and then once the energy is wasted and nothing, they see no results from their energy, they lose interest, and then the next thing you know, you're standing by yourself, and then you're wondering why. A real leader has to put short-term reachable goals that inspires and puts long-term goals in reach. Long-term goals minus short-term reachable goals kills the spirit and the movement. What do I mean by that? Sounds pretty self-explanatory, but what it basically means is you have to do things that are plausible and doable. Something that start off small, short-term goals that can get done where people can say, we've tried to do this and we did it and we accomplished it. Now let's move on to the next thing. I want to go to The Art of War by Sun Tzu. And this is chapter 5, and this is verses 21 to 23. And I want to read this to you. The clever combatant looks to the effect of combined energy and does not require too much from individuals. Damn, it sounds like Sun Tzu sounds a lot like Mr. Holipsism. Let me reread that. The clever combatant looks to the effect of combined energy and does not require too much from individuals. Hence his ability to pick out the right men and utilize combined energy. When he utilizes combined energy, his fighting men become as if it were like onto rolling logs or stones. For it's the nature of a log or a stone to remain motionless on level ground. They're talking about the individuals. And to move when on a slope. If four-cornered, to come to a standstill. If the log is four-cornered, it'll come to a standstill. If it's round shaped, it'll go rolling down. Those are the different types of individuals. Thus, the energy developed by good fighting men is as the momentum of a round stone rolled down a mountain thousands of feet in height. Now, what is he saying there? He's basically saying, and to put it short, is that individuals are not what you should be focusing on. What you should be focusing on is the context in which those individuals exist, because that will determine how those individuals are utilized and what the effectiveness of those individuals will be. So the rolling mountain is the context, because like he said, if you have the log and it's this level, most logs and stones just want to stay there. They want to remain motionless and stay still. How they move is going to depend on the surface that they're on, and that surface is the context. So that's what Sun Tzu is talking about. He's talking about how to utilize energy properly. Now, what's the conclusion to all of this? The conclusion is, if you're going to be angry and pissed off and frustrated, at least when you have the opportunity to express that frustration and anger, direct it at the appropriate target. This "we got to do something." Anybody that knows me and have seen my videos and heard me speak knows what I'm about to say, and I'm going to say it again. Who the fuck is we? Who the fuck is us? And who the fuck is our that you are referring to? And what should this we, us, and our be doing? We have no we. We have no us. We have no our on a social, political, and economic level. We are a scattered bunch of individualists aligned by aesthetic similarities. So until we establish a we, an us, and an our, and go through those initial talk stages to build a consensus, without no consensus, there's no movement. Bottom line. And there's the great mystery and the answer to that great mystery about why you don't have people rushing out in the streets anymore like you used to. Why there will never be another Million Man March again. Because you wasted energy and wasted people's time and you killed people's spirit. And let's get to that. Killing people's spirit. You owe the person or the people that you want to run out in these streets your time, your energy, and your preparation. If you don't take the time to prepare, if you don't take the time to strategize, if you don't take the time to have tactics, if you don't have some examples of stuff that you've done where you've actually accomplished something, why are you, how dare you get in another person's face telling them what they should do or don't do? You got some fucking nerve. How about you prepare something? How about you show that you are equipped to deal with what's coming? Because let me tell you something, and this is as real as it gets. Like it or not, this system that we are dealing with right now is the world heavyweight champion and is holding the title. And if you run up on the champ and you haven't even trained for a fight, you haven't even watched tapes of your opponent to analyze strengths and weaknesses, you haven't sparred or practiced with other opponents similar in style, strength, and size, then not only are you going to get your ass severely kicked, but you will also be embarrassed and humiliated before your friends, your family, and the entire freaking world. Sort of like this.
Nigga, shut the fuck up, boy. Shift my word. Now what you gonna do?
That's all I got to say about that. Let's end this talking point forever. Or let's appropriately put that do something where it needs to be put. Because a lot of us have already gone through those steps. And I know, like, I hear some people, I can hear you thinking, and you're saying, well, we've done all of that. We've discussed and we've analyzed. Who's we, first of all? Because you ain't did shit. We who? I don't remember being at that meeting. I don't even remember the meeting taking place. I remember individuals coming up with that shit and coming to their own fucking conclusions. But in case y'all hadn't noticed, we are collectively black African people in this country, and we're collectively getting our asses kicked by the system that's in place. Collectively, not individually alone, but collectively. Collectively and individually. So until we start coming together and trying to get consensus and start coming together and mobilizing and coming together and networking with each other and coming together and bringing fractions and factions of groups together and coming together with different ideologies and different people with different belief systems and trying to map out what is our consensus, what is the one thing that we can all agree upon. I've already come to that conclusion, and I've discovered that the one thing that we can all agree upon, for me, that we all need food, we all need clothing, and we all need shelter, and we need a way to protect our food, our clothing, and our shelter. Wow, I'm just a freaking genius, ain't I? I'm just so fucking brilliant. You mean to tell me that running water is not what? Who is there somebody that's Christian or Muslim or Buddhist or whatever that's against the concept of running water? I mean, and what percentage of people is that? Is there people that's against the concept of being able to have an irrigation system? Is there people against the concept of having roads and highways? Is there people against the concept of a fucking infrastructure that you control? If you're against that concept, please leave a comment in my comment section so I can light your ass up. And I promise you I will light it up. And that's all I got to say on that. This is Talking Point Smash version 1.4. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will talk to you good people later. Peace.